When I caught my girlfriend red-handed with my own friend, she started screaming, "This is my life. I can do whatever I want." I simply said, "All right." Then I walked away. 1 year later, she sent me a wedding invitation. When I arrived, something strange happened. The atmosphere suddenly turned into an awkward spectacle. In the middle of it all, she broke down crying and came over to me, desperate to tell me something she had never planned to say out loud. I'm 29 years old, and I thought I had my life figured out. Good job in software development, solid group of friends, and a girlfriend I'd been with for 3 years. Her name was Natasha. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party, hit it off immediately, and within 6 months we were talking about moving in together. She was energetic, spontaneous, the kind of person who could light up a room. I was more reserved, analytical. We balanced each other out. Or so I thought. My best friend since college was a guy named Trevor. We'd been through everything together, failed exams, terrible roommates, his messy breakup sophomore year, my dad's funeral. He was the kind of friend who showed up at 2 a.m. when you needed him. When Natasha and I got serious, Trevor was genuinely happy for me. The three of us hung out constantly. Game nights, weekend trips, dinner parties. It felt like the perfect setup. But about 8 months before everything fell apart, I started noticing small things. Natasha would get texts late at night, and her face would light up in a way it didn't when I messaged her. She started dressing up more when we were meeting Trevor, claiming she just wanted to look nice. She'd laugh louder at his jokes, touch his arm when they talked. I told myself I was being paranoid. Trevor was my best friend. Natasha loved me. This was just insecurity talking. Then one Thursday evening, I came home early from work. I'd left my laptop at the apartment and needed it for a client meeting the next morning. I wasn't trying to catch anyone. I wasn't suspicious that day. I was just annoyed at myself for forgetting my computer. I unlocked the door quietly, old habit from years of having roommates, and heard voices coming from the bedroom. Natasha's laugh. Then Trevor's voice, lower, saying something I couldn't make out. My stomach dropped before my brain could even process what was happening. I walked down the hallway. The bedroom door was half open. They were on my bed, clothes scattered on the floor. Natasha was leaning over him, her hair falling across his chest. They hadn't heard me come in. I stood there for maybe 5 seconds. It felt like an hour. Then I said, "Hey." They both jerked apart like they'd been electrocuted. Natasha screamed, actually screamed, and scrambled to pull the sheets around herself. Trevor just froze, his face going completely white. "What the hell are you doing here?" Natasha shouted at me. The question was so absurd I almost laughed. "I live here. You're supposed to be at work." I forgot my laptop. My voice sounded eerily calm, even to me. Trevor finally moved, reaching for his jeans on the floor. "Man, listen, this isn't, don't," I said. "Just don't." Natasha's shock was rapidly turning into something else. Defiance, maybe. Or panic disguised as aggression. She stood up, wrapping the sheet around herself like a toga, and faced me. "You know what? This is my life. I can do whatever I want." I stared at her. Of all the things she could have said, "Sorry, it was a mistake. I don't know what I was thinking," she went with that. "All right," I said. "All right. That's all you have to say." "What do you want me to say, Natasha? You just told me you can do whatever you want. So do it. I'm not stopping you." Trevor was pulling his shirt on, moving toward the door. "I should go." "Yeah," I said. "You should." He couldn't look at me. He just grabbed his shoes and left. I heard the front door close a minute later. Natasha was still standing there, breathing hard, the defiance starting to crack. "We need to talk about this." "No, we don't. Get your stuff. You have until tomorrow." "You're breaking up with me? Over this?" The question genuinely baffled me. What did you think was going to happen? People make mistakes. Relationships go through rough patches. This isn't a rough patch. This is you sleeping with my best friend in our bed. Pack your things. I grabbed my laptop from the living room and left. I drove to my brother's place across town and told him I needed to crash for a few days. He didn't ask questions, just handed me a beer and set me up in his guest room. Natasha texted me 47 times that night. Most of it was variations of the same thing. We needed to talk. I was overreacting. She made a mistake, but she loved me. Couldn't we work through this? I blocked her number around midnight. Trevor tried calling the next day. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail that I deleted without listening to it. The next few months were a blur. I moved into a new apartment. Mutual friends reached out, awkwardly asking what happened. I gave them the basic facts and let them draw their own conclusions. Some people stopped talking to me. A few stopped talking to Natasha and Trevor. Most just tried to stay neutral and probably felt uncomfortable around everyone. I threw myself into work. Took on extra projects. Started going to the gym at 5 a.m. because I couldn't sleep anyway. My brother checked in on me constantly, which I appreciated even when I pretended to be annoyed by it. I didn't hear anything about Natasha or Trevor for almost 6 months. Then a mutual acquaintance mentioned in passing that they were dating now. Officially. Apparently they'd found each other after I left. I felt nothing when I heard it. Maybe some distant, bitter amusement. They deserved each other. I started dating again around the 8-month mark. Nothing serious, just reminding myself that not everyone was going to betray me. I went on trips I'd been putting off. Visited Iceland, learned to surf in Portugal, spent 2 weeks hiking through New Zealand. I was doing okay. Better than okay, actually. I was happy. Then, exactly 1 year and 2 weeks after I'd walked in on them, I got a wedding invitation in the mail. Natasha and Trevor were getting married. I stood in my kitchen, holding this cream-colored envelope with elegant script, trying to process why they would send this to me. Was it some kind of guilt thing? An olive branch? A twisted attempt at closure? My brother's theory was simpler. They want validation, he said when I showed him. They want you to show up and be okay with it so they can stop feeling like the bad guys. Or they're just being polite and assume I won't actually come. Are you thinking about going? I wasn't. Not initially. I tossed the invitation in a drawer and forgot about it. But over the next 2 weeks, something shifted. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was some masochistic need to prove to myself that I was completely over it. Maybe I just wanted to see them uncomfortable. I RSVP'd yes. The wedding was at a vineyard an hour outside the city. I drove there alone on a Saturday afternoon, wearing a suit I'd bought for a work conference, feeling surreal about the whole thing. When I walked into the venue, the ceremony hadn't started yet. Guests were milling around, drinking wine, chatting. I recognized a few faces, people who'd been at our game nights, our dinner parties. A couple of them noticed me and did visible double takes. I grabbed a glass of wine from a server and found a seat toward the back. The ceremony started 15 minutes later. Trevor stood at the altar, looking nervous. When Natasha appeared at the end of the aisle, she looked beautiful. I felt nothing. They exchanged vows. Standard stuff about love and commitment and forever. The irony wasn't lost on me. Then the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride." Trevor leaned in. Natasha kissed him back. Everyone clapped. And then Natasha pulled away, looked directly into the crowd, and her eyes found mine. Her face went completely pale. I don't know what she expected. Maybe she thought I wouldn't actually show up. Maybe she'd convinced herself I was over it and would be happy for them. Whatever she was thinking, seeing me sitting there clearly shattered something. She stumbled slightly. Trevor caught her elbow, confused, following her gaze. When he saw me, his expression went from confused to horrified. The applause was dying down. People were starting to notice something was wrong. Natasha whispered something to Trevor. He shook his head. She said something else, more insistent. The officiant was trying to guide them back down the aisle, but Natasha wasn't moving. Then she stepped away from Trevor and walked straight toward me. The entire room went silent. She stopped a few feet from where I was sitting, her wedding dress pooling around her, mascara already starting to smudge. "I need to talk to you," she said. "Natasha, what are you doing?" Trevor was following her, his voice tight with panic. "I need to talk to him," she repeated louder. I stood up. "You should probably focus on your wedding. I made a mistake." Her voice cracked. The biggest mistake of my life. People were staring. Someone's phone was definitely recording. Trevor reached her, trying to pull her away. "Babe, come on, let's go." "No." She jerked away from him. "I can't do this. I can't marry you." The room erupted into whispers. Trevor looked like he'd been punched. "What are you talking about?" Natasha was crying now, full tears streaming down her face. She looked at me, desperate. "I never loved him. I loved you. I still love you. I made a horrible, stupid mistake and I've regretted it every single day and I thought I could move on, but I can't. I can't." I didn't know what to say. This wasn't what I'd expected. I'd expected maybe some awkwardness, maybe a brief conversation at the reception. Not this. "You're marrying him," I said quietly. "I don't want to. I want you." Trevor was frozen beside her, his face cycling through emotions too fast to track. "You said you loved me. You said I was the one you were supposed to be with." I lied. She was sobbing now. I lied to myself. I thought if I could just commit to you, I'd stop thinking about him, but I can't. Every day I compare you to him. Every day I wish I'd never. Stop. Trevor's voice was barely audible. He looked at me. Did you know about this? I got an invitation. That's it. Why did you come? Honest answer? I don't know. Natasha grabbed my arm. Please. I know I don't deserve it. I know what I did was unforgivable. But I'm begging you. Give me another chance. I looked at her hand on my arm. At her desperate, tear-streaked face. At Trevor standing behind her, devastated. At the 100 guests watching this implosion. I gently removed her hand. No, I said. Please, you made your choice a year ago. You made it again when you sent me that invitation. I didn't come here to get back together with you. I came because I wanted to prove to myself that I was over you. And I am. You're lying. I'm not. I don't feel anything for you anymore. Not anger, not love, not even satisfaction at watching this happen. You're just someone I used to know. Her face crumpled. Trevor put a hand on her shoulder, and she flinched away from him. Natasha, he said, his voice hollow. I think we need to leave. I'm not marrying you, she said again. Yeah, I got that. He turned and walked toward the exit. Natasha watched him go, then looked back at me one more time. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know, I said. But sorry doesn't fix this. She nodded slowly, then followed Trevor out. The room stayed silent until they disappeared. Then everyone started talking at once. I set my wine glass down on a nearby table and left. A few people tried to stop me, asking what happened, if I was okay, but I just kept walking to my car. I drove home, took off the suit, and ordered pizza. Update. A week later, Trevor texted me. It was the first time we'd communicated in over a year. She called off the wedding. Completely. Checked herself into therapy. I'm moving to Boston for work. I'm sorry for what I did to you. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. I didn't respond. Natasha tried to reach out through mutual friends. I made it clear I had no interest in talking. My brother asked if I regretted going to the wedding. No, I told him. I needed to see it. I needed to know I was really done. And are you? Yeah, I really am. 3 months after the wedding that wasn't, I met someone new. Her name was Isabel. She was a graphic designer, funny and sharp and honest in ways that Natasha never was. We took things slow. I told her the whole story on our 3rd date, expecting her to run. Instead, she said, well, at least I know you won't take me back if I screw up that badly. We both laughed. A year after that, I heard through the grapevine that Natasha was engaged to someone else. Someone none of us knew. I hoped, genuinely, that she'd figured herself out. Trevor did move to Boston. We never spoke again. And me? I'm doing better than I ever expected. I learned that walking away doesn't mean you're weak. Sometimes it means you value yourself enough to know when something's not worth saving. That moment in the vineyard when Natasha begged me to take her back, people asked if it felt good to reject her. It didn't. It just felt final. Like closing a door that should have been closed a long time ago. I don't think about her much anymore. When I do, it's with a kind of distant bemusement. Like remembering a bad dream you had years ago. Isabel and I are talking about moving in together. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm also not naive anymore. But I'm okay with that. Some lessons cost more than others. This one cost me a relationship and a friendship. But what I got in return was clarity, self-respect, and the knowledge that I can survive betrayal and come out stronger on the other side. That's worth more than any apology Natasha could ever give me.